What's up, Unc?
World Shaker,
How are you?
doing good. So what time of the night
Good,
is it
man.
where you're at right now? What time is it?
It is 9 p.m.
9 p.m. So I'm on the West Coast. It is 6,
Absolutely.
6 p.m.
Yeah, absolutely.
So life is good
It's
for you right
prime
now,
time.
right? Life is good.
Life is good. I can't complain.
So what do you think about not traveling as much as we used to travel?
It is both weird and a blessing,
Yes, I totally agree.
you know. Yeah, it's great for creating content, not so great for getting it out.
Yeah.
And technology has been a great medium and platform for us to continue to reach the various audiences that we touch, but it's nothing like being in a room with
Nothing.
people.
Nothing like it. And there was a season, it seemed like you were on the road for like a lot of time. You were on the road a lot there for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, it was pretty jam packed for a while, and we've liked this season of kind of slowing down and really taking a moment. Me and Jen were kind of talking at the beginning of
Yeah.
quarantine. This is the longest that we've been home um, in probably 6 or 7 years.
No, that's deep. I didn't even know I had certain neighbors. Like they're like neighbors that are like waving. I'm like, when did they get here? So I actually asked one guy, I said, are you new? He said, no, I've been here 7 years. I'm 7 years old.
It is. It's so strange. It's so strange. We have neighbors that I haven't even met yet. It's so strange, man.
Oh yeah.
It is so strange. But again, grateful for the media and the technology, and grateful that we still can present the message to the audiences that God has placed us in front of. And so I'm glad that we get an opportunity for round two. The last Instagram live that we did was viewed over 500,000 times.
Yeah. Half a million
Since
times. That's a lot.
That's a whole lot of people. And now we got people from all over the world. I saw someone watching from Chile
Yeah.
on here tonight. We got about 1,500 people that's on live right now. And I just kind of want us to continue the conversation because it was packed with so much wisdom. And I think you can help us out a whole lot by just unpacking some of the things that are in your mind. And so, as I mentioned before, I've had the opportunity to walk with you and see what God has done in and through you for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as I can remember, and I consider you to be one of the pioneers who I would model what God is doing through me after, a mentor, someone that operates, touches different spheres, different circles. For a moment, can you talk about some of the mentors that you've had and the role that they played in your life?
Yeah. So number one, shout out to you. And I am your bona fide uncle. And I've been around you since
Yeah,
you were a kid. And your father is one of the greats of all time as a teacher, author, mentor, instructor, and your mother's gold. You know how much I care about your mom and dad and all your siblings. But I will say this before I even start: you guys go on more cruises than any family I've ever met.
it's true.
You
It's so
guys were
true.
always like on a cruise.
It's so true.
So
39, 39 prior to COVID, man.
39, 39 and counting. So I think that we were on this subject last time of how a lot of people get stuck in the mundane, the messy, and the madness of life. And I think that when you get stuck is when you really realize more and more that you need a tutor, a mentor,
Mhm.
an instructor, somebody to help you get unstuck. Because I think a lot of people are people that have good intentions, but they don't know what to do next.
Hmm.
So maybe they're even getting drunk all the time, and they're thinking, I don't want to get drunk all the time. They
Right.
have good intentions to quit, but they don't really know how to go about it.
Hmm.
Or I want to get closer to God, but they don't really know how to go about it. So one of the things that happens is that when you're in the mundane or the messy or the madness of life, you have to do these things. You have to, number one, become awake. You have to wake up. Secondly, you have to take inventory and say, like, where am I? And Tim, both of us have been there before, where we
Hmm.
knew we were off the path.
Hmm.
That not only did we have a delay, but we had like some kind of detour that we went like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
So when you need to get back to where you need to be, you need to become awake. Secondly, you have to take inventory. And then number three, and here's what's making us work, me and you, is that you have to find the right partners.
Mm.
And I think that people are so hurt by other people that when you isolate yourself for too long, you're in trouble.
Wow.
Because there's a saying that says that when you're deceived, you don't know you're deceived because you're deceived.
Wow.
So if you're deceived and you're afraid to let any of us in, um, you don't know you're deceived because you're deceived. You got blind spots everywhere. So you have to have the right partners come into your life, not to pick you apart or to make you feel worse, but to show you the way.
Hmm.
So you got to wake up, take inventory. You need the right partners, but you need the right partners that have two things: the right mindset and the right motives.
Mm.
And the mindset is where one sets their mind. And so the thing that I learned from your dad, Mac Timberlake, is that he was one of the greatest teachers on faith in the world. And the subject of faith is basically just aligning yourself with what God says. That's all faith is.
Mm.
Faith is aligning yourself with what God says. So if God says that we're the head and not the tail, faith is aligning yourself with that.
Yeah.
If faith says no weapon formed against you shall prosper, you're simply aligning yourself with that. It's not
Mm.
something I have to conjure up or stir up. It's just aligning myself with what God says. That's faith.
Yeah.
And so you become awake, you take inventory, and then you have to partner with the right people. And then I'll end this part with this, with the right mindset, as I said, but the right motives. And
Mm.
that's a scary thing in life because it seems like so many people have an angle.
Yeah.
And so, like, I know you as little Timmy Timberlake, who's like coming up. I mean, I remember when
Hmm.
you were rocking like probably your first Air Jordans. And I'm like, man, he's got style already. He's super young, but he's got style. So I know you from then, but I know you now as your life coaching stars, as you're hanging with some of the biggest stars in the world and speaking at the mega churches, and people will take a shot at a guy like you
Hmm.
because that's just how the enemy works. So
Hmm.
you got to say, I need people with the right mindset and the right motives in my inner circle to take me to the right place.
Man, that's so good. We touched on this a little bit last time, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into it because I think that it's so powerful for people to understand that it's the assignment and the call of God on your life that has given you access to some of the biggest names that we know in today's society and culture. And it's because you operate in that assignment that these doors swing open.
Yeah.
And in culture today, we see people that are called with these graces, anointings, and assignments, reserve them, pull them back, shy away from them for those opportunities and not really expose them to the world. What was it for you that was kind of the line in the sand that said, you know what, I'm going to stick to my guns, whether these doors open or not. This is the assignment.
That's such a great question. I think only a question that someone like you would even be able to ask. So what happened for me is I got raised up fast in what we call the ministry. So at 20 years of
Hmm.
age, a famous minister started taking me around the world. And I was speaking in Nigeria to 13,000. And then he took me to Philippines. I think next crowd was 17,000. Indonesia was like 24,000. But I'm 20, 21, 22, 23 years of age at that time. And so I was loving the culture that we were raised in because I was raised around a miracle mentality.
Mm.
Psalm 78, to believe in miracles, to expect miracles, to receive miracles, to become a miracle, and then to release miracles. Psalm
Mm.
78 says, tell the next generation about the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord. Now, because I had
Yeah.
been around it so much from these legends, Morris Cirillo or Roberts, who gave me a break starting at age 23. Could you imagine that? And I started
Hmm.
teaching all the time at Oral Roberts University starting at age 26. So I was traveling the world as this guy, but what I felt is that the coat did not completely fit. And it's
Hmm.
interesting thing that when somebody wins the Masters, they say, how do they know what size that guy is that's going to win that has the green coat? Well, the inside story is, they start doing their homework. They're down to like 5 people that could win. So they've sized up those last 5 to see what coat fits. That's deep, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it comes down to like 2 guys at the end. You go, whoa, man, one guy was 6'4", guy was 5'1".
Right.
I think it's the right coat
Right.
because they got like for the top 5, they know a coat. They're sizing them up, and I feel like for Tim Timberlake and for me, your Uncle Tim, that the coat many times did not fit of religion.
Mm. Hmm.
So I was bringing a God message of who Jesus is and miracles. But I think that within the confines of religion, I wasn't always feeling it. I felt like I was being confined and restricted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's why I birthed the Hollywood Bible Study when I was 32 years of age. And
Mm.
it was in that Bible study that, I began to find some of the biggest stars in the world were just rolling out to see a charismatic minister who was bringing down the Bible in a realistic way. I mean, standing room only, because the biggest room we can get on Sunset Boulevard sat about 550, and we used to get
Hmm.
about 800 a night. So they'd be standing on the walls, on the floors, and this is for 14 years straight. So that was not like for a summer. That was not like a hot nightclub that shut down soon. That was 14 years straight. And then I took a 2-year hiatus. And the reason for that, Tim, is because it got too big. And they were beginning to
Hmm.
call me a guru. And I would run into people at Starbucks and that in Beverly Hills. And I'd say, well, what church you go to? They go, no, 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 I don't go to church. I follow you. And they started seeing me as a
Mm.
guru. And I said, okay, now they're getting it twisted here.
Yeah.
But I think that what I was able to do by the grace of God and still do, as you're doing now, is take the Jesus message that Jesus came to take your ashes, your dead things, and exchange them for beauty. He never
Mm.
said, I will put beauty on your ashes. I will take your ashes and exchange it. And
Mm.
the world has been able to watch Tim Storey help all these celebrities and see so many change their ashes and change them for beauty. And so I'm doing that by grace. It's the grace of God. It's the assignment of God. I'm only a piece of the puzzle. That's what I do.
Man, that's so powerful. One of the things I love about you is you never go with the trend. Somehow you're always ahead of what society and culture needs. And so not only are you doing the life coaching, not only are you speaking at all these major conferences around the world, and not only do you lead a phenomenal church, but you saw this wave coming with substance abuse and really the mental health crisis in Hollywood, and you
Yes.
did something about it. What was it that you were seeing that just sparked this fire in you to be the catalyst for this movement that you lead now?
And again, thank you for that question that most people would not see. You know,
Hmm.
Magic Johnson, as you know, when he was playing for the Lakers, he saw the whole court. And
Yeah.
I think that God gave you and me a gift. I see the whole court. And
Hmm.
so even though I was being invited to so many places in the church world, I knew that a lot of people that I needed to touch would not walk into that place.
Yeah.
So I needed to get outside that door and help. And so what I saw was a lot of people that were stuck in a setback, but they did not know how to get out. So I started creating phrases, Tim, like we're going through recovery and discovery at the same time.
Mm.
Recovery from our past, our present, but don't get so caught up in the recovery zone that you miss the discovery zone. And
Mm.
I would speak that to people that were secular, and they'd say, well, how do I recover? And I'd say, well, let me just tell you how I've seen people recover for all these years. Is like, Isaiah 61, Christ really set them free. And I had gained their trust. And as you know, the biggest stars in the world we work with.
Yeah.
But that's the recovery zone. But now I needed to show them the God side of the discovery zone, that God is limitless.
Mm.
See, if you look at the guys today, like Kendrick Lamar, church kid, Pharrell Williams,
Yeah.
church kid, John Legend, church kid, Kanye West, church kid. But here's the challenge. A lot of churches try to
Yeah.
confine
Yeah.
and restrict, where I had no borders and boundaries, nor does Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus was teaching the Jesus style without borders and boundaries or confinement. That's very powerful, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so with the recovery world that I'm part of, at one time, uh, part owner of 5 recovery centers, and now working with many recovery centers, and now working with ARC, with prison reform, with many celebrities who help us with that, is that you're right. I think the Lord allowed me to see ahead how strong this was going to get. And with the challenge of people looking to find a solution for their
Mm.
challenge. And so the mixture is the power of God with people who really care, and it's working.
Yeah. It is working. I mean, I have seen and talked to people who have been impacted by it, and I see the impact that it's not only having on the people that go through it, but their families, because of the care that you all are intentional about walking them through.
Yeah,
And it's
very, very,
unique,
very
it's special.
intentional. I mean, when you got a
Yeah.
when you got a kid who comes into one of our centers, like I saw recently, 19 years of age, good-looking white kid, wealthy family, heroin addiction, and he's shaken for 3 days straight. That's not okay with me. And I told one of the overseers, and I said, I know it's not within what we're supposed to be about, but I'm gonna stop this kid from shaking.
Mm.
So I prayed for him, and the power of God hit him.
Mm.
And I'm telling you, he just stopped.
Wow.
And so I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I cannot see a kid shake for 3 days and know that there's divine power and just let him keep shaking. Whether I'm going to get ridiculed or talked about, whatever. I'm past all that a long time ago.
I love it. We're on this kind of little bunny trail. Right off the top of your head, what is one of the craziest miracles you've been a part of seeing?
I would say at Charles Neiman's church in El Paso, Texas. And, you know, Neiman's got that amazing church. You know, they're over 20,000 now.
That's crazy.
And it was a big old conference full of all the guys we know. And there was a lady that had a stroke, and the stroke had paralyzed her on the whole right side of her body. And she had the stroke for so long, her foot was atrophied already. The right foot was atrophied. And she could not talk. And so I said, I don't want to scare you, but you're going to get healed right now. But don't get scared. So here's what I believe about healing. The word healing comes from a Greek word therapon, which means a remedy to get better. You cut yourself, you bleed, then you get a scab. Scab stays for a while. Scab falls off. You get a scar. Hopefully it goes away. That's therapon. So sometimes there's a therapon, but sometimes there's a suddenly. There's a miracle that just hits all at once. This was about to be an all at once. Now, where do I get that kind of faith? Because I've seen it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I talk about this in my book, Miracle Mentality, because I'm not ashamed to talk about how powerful God is. So people say, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, what if it does? Some people say, well, what if the miracle doesn't work? Well, what if it does? So I'd rather take a shot at it, right, Tim?
Yeah.
And so it's good to have Keith Kraft on. Keith's got a great church. He's a great guy, great friend of ours. So at this great church, Charles Neiman's church, this lady had this stroke, right foot atrophy, whole family around. She could not speak. The power of God hit her. And my friend Ron Pinkerton, who's a businessman, he said it freaked him out because he had on these sandals and he saw her foot go like this, and he saw her toes start coming out. And then, remember, she could not speak.
Yeah.
And then she screamed these words, "What is happening to me?" Okay. And then she got completely free. I raised her up. She started walking, and she's been walking, living ever since. And because I speak there a lot at that church, I would say every 2 or 3 times she comes up to me and goes, "I'm still moving. I'm still free." So that's a powerful thing, to go from you can't talk, you can't move, you can't walk, to God set me free. That's a miracle. A miracle is a supernatural intervention of God into the natural affairs of men. I can't do miracles. You can't do miracles. He can do miracles.
That's it. That's it. And we've been a part of some crazy kind of healing and miracle nights. I remember one lady came in on a walker, and you prayed for her, laid hands on her, and you took the walker and you threw it across the room. And you grabbed her hand and you walked with her. And it was the first time she had walked without a walker in God knows how long. And it's, to me, it's fascinating to see how God uses miracles to pierce the heart of those that may not even believe he exists.
Okay, you're so right. And again, had I stayed in the confinement of religion and not been hanging out at Quincy Jones's house, then I would not be permeating the culture like I am right now. Like, you know, I just did the Today Show the other day. I just did Access Hollywood. I'll be on CBS Morning News coming up, do Oprah coming up, and talking about miracles, and flowing in Jesus, and not ashamed of the gospel.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. I love everything about what God is doing through you. It shows a generation of people, specifically leaders such as myself, that it is possible to stay true to the assignment and be used outside of the four walls of the church and be able to penetrate the deepest, darkest circles of culture. You
You want
know,
to hear something
it's
funny?
yeah.
I'm going to tell you something funny. Here's how I felt about being big in the ministry. Because as you know, I was doing pretty good. When I was feeling like the highest in the room, I'm not joking. I thought, do they got any other rooms? Because this room is not that interesting.
Right.
It's like, no, this is the only room. These are the guys you got to spend time with. These are their spouses. And I said, I wonder if I could take an Uber because I got to get out. Because you got to
It is so
understand,
true.
this is getting funny, right? You got to understand my culture has too much reality in it. Compton, California, 7 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. I don't got time for foolishness, silliness, who's top, who's best, who's this. That's not how I live. And I think God took a guy like me who was willing to go to tough places. Because God does not take tough people okay to regular places. He's going to take you to tough places.
Yeah.
And so he equipped me to go into other rooms and set people free. I was not comfortable just being in that room that all of us all had to be in there.
Yeah.
And that wasn't for me at all.
Before we hop off, I want to kind of touch on this because you do get pulled in 1,000 different directions. And I recently put out a piece of work, The Power of 1440, talking about how we steward the minutes that God allows us to live and how
Yes.
in life really there is no balance, and it shouldn't be. So
Yes.
God shouldn't get the same balance of time as other people do.
Yes.
How do you prioritize what you give your time to?
You see
You
that book?
do.
That's how much I love you. I keep it right next to me. You see that book right there?
I do. You're too kind. You're too kind.
Here's the deal. I believe in being fully present, fully feeling, and fully alive. And to be fully present, fully feeling, fully alive, you got to know this. If God takes care of the birds of the air, how much more will he take care of you? So I'm not trying to beat the sun up. Like a lot of my friends, I speak at the big conferences, I beat the sun up.
Yeah.
And the sun is like, I beat you up for years, brother. And I'm going to beat you up when you die. So my thing is, I really feel like God takes care of us and there's a peace there. So now I want to be a good steward of my time. And you do a good job of really teaching in this book that really somebody else's urgent is not necessarily yours.
Yeah.
And that you have to make the most of the time that you've been given, but you have to be alive in that time.
Yeah.
See, you're really good at that, but you're very alive. I mean, I see you spend time with your family.
Yeah.
I see you on vacation. You're about to break 40 cruises. Come on, Tim. Don't let your uncle down. You can break 40 cruises. So I so believe in this, Tim, that I'm not even joking. Like you get the same thing. Like there's a lot of celebrities that will say, I want to fly you to blah, blah, blah for this party or that. I promise you, 8 out of 10 times I don't go.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fit in with what I'm doing, with my assignment is.
Right.
I don't want to keep leaving the assignment for a good time. No, that's not
Right.
what I do.
That's so true. That's so true. And for a moment, you touched on something, leaving the assignment and understanding what the assignment is. On certain days, it's the same assignment, but it looks different.
100%.
And so, how do you steward those differences in the same assignment?
So to me, one assignment is not bigger than the next.
Mm.
Like I got a homeless guy about a mile away from my house that I become a nuisance to him. Because I get out of my car and I pull out $20 and I hand it to him. And then he goes to me, he goes, "Oh, here comes the speech." Sorry, that's my assignment because that's somebody's child.
Yeah, yeah.
So that assignment compared to speaking at a big secular conference of 34,000 people, that 34,000 people assignment is no bigger than me going to the homeless guy every other day because sometimes he hides from me, Tim. He hides. That brother's hiding now. I'm not joking. He sees my car. One time I go running the bush. Because that's my assignment. My assignment is Isaiah 61 is to help people take their ashes and let God change them to beauty. So the assignments to the homeless guy, the assignments to the 34,000 people at a secular conference. And I think when you have that mindset, God says, man, good on you, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. Number 17. Go do that. Go do this. Go do that. Because just like you, I'm not looking for places to speak. Never have. I don't want to go somewhere where I'm tolerated. I want to
Yeah,
go where I'm supposed to be. I'm on assignment. I am on
yeah,
assignment.
yeah. You touched on number 17, and a lot of people don't know what that is. And I see you rock the 17
I'm rocking the
variations
17.
of hats. Break that down for the almost 3,000 people that's on right now watching this live.
Yeah, so 17, you see World Shaker first, because that's what we are.
Yeah.
So that's a Tim Storey trademark. I trademarked that about 22 years ago, that we're world shakers and history makers. And the 17 is on the first day, God said, it's good. And the second day, it's good. And then the seventh day, he rested and said, it's all good.
Mm.
So 1-7 means you're good from the first one to the seventh, the end of creation. You are good from the beginning of creation to the end of creation. From the beginning of your life to the end of your life. We're rocking 1-7. We're good from the beginning to the end.
Man, that's gold. That is gold.
1-7, y'all.
That's it.
It's
That's
all
gold.
good. Straight out of
Well,
Compton.
that's it. Straight out of Compton, baby. Well, I'm thankful that you would take out some time with us tonight, Unc, and really just share, your heart and allow us to pick your brain and see why the legend thinks the way that he does. And I tell you, the people love this. We own to something here.
We're
Half
on
a
to
million
something.
people, half a
Tell them
million
again
people
how
viewed
many
it.
people watched last time. Tim, tell them how many people watched this last time.
550,000 people.
Yeah, because
550,000.
the real deal is, I'm going to say this, even if you don't like it, you're going beyond what I did. I'm like, I took the NBA. No, it's true. I took the NBA to a certain spot. It's like if I was Dr. J. You got your dad in you. You got your mom in you. You got guys like me around you now. You're in a whole different thing. And so that's one reason this is working, because this is like two guys that God decided to say, boom, tag, you're it. And people say, well, why did they get chosen? Because that's how God rocks. God will sometimes use shaky people to do sturdy projects.
Yeah.
Because I never thought I had it all together. I was like, man, I really need God. And so do you. Like, even
Yeah.
at my best, I really need God.
Yeah.
And so I think that one reason everybody watches is because they're seeing somebody that's in one generation who still is touching people in the current generation, and you're touching all these generations and flowing in a new and dynamic way. So it's a beautiful collaboration. It's a beautiful collaboration we got going.
It is. Tim and Tim back at it again, baby. So thank you. Thank you. I love you. We got to do this
I
again
love
real
you too.
soon. And I know that almost the 3,100 people that are on live right now has been blessed by what you've shared and just being able to hear your heart and spend some time with you. So I love you, Unc. I'm grateful for you,
Life is
man.
good. You get off first because I have no idea how to get myself out of here.
Okay, I
Otherwise,
sure
I'll
will.
be here for like 24 hours. Just like.
Love you. Okay.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.